I think it was at a point I was I thought maybe I've lost
the way, right?
I think it's terrible. It's terrible, and I just wish something can be done.
Okay.
I wish something can be done on the erosion, and the rate is terrible. Basically,
Okay,
I think I wish they found
exactly.
that something can be done.
Okay.
Now, I'm pretty much certain that His Excellency has so much granted your wishes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe so.
And away from that, talking about climate change,
Okay.
let's know exactly how far is this affecting our nation and the world globally? That's how drastic. What's the level of damage this is causing?
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, and I'm glad that I'm putting up this forward for discussion. He also underscored the importance that globally it's putting much on the issue of climate change, and of course, of recently, 2 weeks ago, of course, the World gathered in Glasgow to look at this issue critically. Yes, basically, 1994, the world come together to put up an action plan because, of course, the issue of climate change came to the forefront, and because it has to do with the weather events and critically, so it's become a global issue. The impact of climate change varies, basically.
Okay.
Of course, it depends on the region that we're looking at. In the context, if we were to look at Nigeria as a scenario now, you will have, in the northern part, you will have the impact where we call the desert encroachment, the desert crossing into the hinterland, and then desertification is more heat over there. And then the pressure on land, of course, I would see maybe come back to that, where the headers and farmers are having some challenges, basically. These are real base evidence.
Okay.
So you have farmer on headers, farmer have to look for their cows to, and then farmer have to grab land. So these are specific issues that climate change has done to our people. Then the south down here is within this period, you can see the fact that we used to have a break in the rain pattern, but this is November. It's still falling.
We don't have the August break.
We don't have the August
Yeah.
break. So, so these are real evidence-based approach issues that. So that's has lead up to a whole lot of things. You have a whole lot of runoff. That a lot of places have been flooded. You have erosion everywhere because the runoff has been cut in a whole lot of places, and then you have runoff. So these are evidence-based issues around climate change. The entire world has changed, like you to say, and that's also bring the fact where the world has to put together some issues. How do we tackle the issue of climate change?
Now, just before we talk about tackling the issue of climate change, what are the causes of climate change?
I think it's us trying to develop, we have distorted the environment. We have, the wildlife has been, the loss of biodiversity, basically. We are struggling to develop, we are distorted the environment, and then we don't longer have forests. These are basically human activities that have been causing a whole lot of this, boiled down to development, boiled down to constructions, and a whole lot of mankind's activities.
Like CO2 emission? Does that also contribute?
That is number one. That's number one. I didn't want to put in the CO2 emissions. Basically, we are emitted a whole lot. We are by 2.5 degrees Celsius at the moment, and the action say we should go down to 1.5 to stay alive. So the CO2 is the major issue that we have been that's at where the climate change is. We have emitted a lot.
So now we see that talking about CO2, we are seeing issues of gas flaring in this part of the world, which is one of the reasons.
Yes.
We have seen issues of a lot of vehicles coming up and they're doing that. we have seen even our farmers still continue with the archaic practice of bush burning. What do you feel, in your opinion, is a sustainable way? Because these activities might still continue, and you're talking about going down to 1.5%. So, in your opinion, how can that be done in a sustainable way?
Okay, I think we need to change the way we live, and then our approach to environment. We need to restore the wild. We need to restore the forest back. And these are things that need some level of national actions. Do people really know much about climate change? I think we need to increase the awareness. And then simplify the language where people understand the action that they need to do. In those days, there was some level of engagement, community engagement in managing the environment. You find tree planting was a more or less a critical issue that they have to do. Community come together to plant trees around the environment. They beautify the environment. That's in the context of basically not really, because also provided a whole lot of action protecting the environment and of course creating livelihood around them. You see compound with fruit trees and all of that, generating livelihoods, and then of course sustainable of living. They come around and then stay within those shades. Of course, you know what tree does. It takes the emissions that were pollutants and then release the oxygen that you are taking. So the sustainable way of doing this is there's a lot of things, and I think maybe perhaps I need to even break it down to really say how sustainable can we. Also, we need that push, and then of course, because there are a lot of issues in terms of the fact that you are saying, what can farmer do? They need to have the idea of the weather vulnerability at its way. And then they need to also have what we call climate smart seedlings that will naturally adapt to the weather pattern. And so we have that also come to where multinationals and government need to come into making provision of all of this setup. Now, can farmers look at also all the local measures that they can equally also do? You mentioned about
bush burning.
Burning. We are basically does not promote that, and we try to encourage them to change that pattern. Clearing their bushes can equally also use it for manure. Compost manure. But they need to even know it
to start with.
So more of education and awareness needs to be justified. People need to even understand what are the measures that they need to do toward most of their farming patterns. Then, going forward, can we encourage people to even go back to the normal lifestyle of sustaining within your environment, putting most of those actions? Tree planting is more of the key issues that we're putting forward in terms of mitigating the impact of climate change.
Now, let's project into the future. What does the future of climate hold for Nigeria? If these seasons like this, these changes still occur, what does the future hold for Nigeria?
We're already on the climate catastrophe, basically, and I think we'll call it climate crisis. We need to even take action to live. And then I mentioned the fact that we're already in 2.5. And so we need to go down to 1.5, where that's the global point where for us to start life. And then, of course, the president has also mentioned the fact that by 2050, we'll go to net zero. Net zero, found that there will be a whole lot of transformations where you mentioned about the issue of gas flaring. There are already a law that says maybe 2030 will cut down gas flaring. So that's basically the issue. Yes, the impact of climate change basically is not really, because if we want to look at what's our contribution, what's our emission like basically. It's not that really much. And so that is why the global climate change is a global issue. Because the developed world are actually the one polluting. And so we are now feeling the impact. So at the global level, we discuss mitigation, adaptation, climate finance, and the capacity building. Where the developed countries, of course, they are the highest emitter, as it were, to cut down on the emission. And so for us here was, we need to also develop sustainably, where like electric cars and gas flaring issues, climate smart agriculture, and then a whole lot of things that we need to do for us to cut down the emissions. If we don't, of course, there are a lot of things that we will look at. The wildlife have gone extinctions.
Yeah.
If we don't, that's if at